Mr. Sheriff, pray, give us order.
This meeting will now come to order.
This morning, we offer thanks to the source of life, the source of mystery, known to each of us in different ways and by different names, for giving us life, for sustaining us, and for bringing us to this moment. As we celebrate and applaud all that our graduating seniors have accomplished in their years here and send them off as they commence the next phase of their lives, we are especially grateful for all the deeds, seen and unseen, remembered and long forgotten, that have supported them over the years. The extended hand, the expression of kindness, the care package, the text or phone call from home or from a friend when it was needed most, the long hours talking through a difficult time, the ways in which innumerable individuals have brought these students and their families to this moment. We pray that as they exercise their formidable intellects in their chosen fields of work and study in the following months and years ahead, that they cultivate an open heart, seeking to do good and striving to be of service to others and to our planet with creativity, with courage, with a sense of purpose, acting with patience, generosity, and kindness. Class of 2018, we pray that you will be a blessing to all those you meet and that your unique presence in the world will bring about wondrous things we have never seen before. Amen.
Please be seated, everyone. On behalf of the college, I'd like to open these ceremonies by extending a warm welcome to all of you, students, families, friends, and distinguished guests. We are delighted to see you here and grateful that you have gathered from far and near for this wonderful day. I'd like to offer special thanks to Sheriff Bowler for his very special kickoff to the ceremony. With this, the college's 229th commencement, we continue the tradition of flying the flags of each of the 59 countries represented by this year's graduates, colorful and inspiring symbols of the world from which our students have gathered. One of the nicest aspects of the weekend is being able to watch our graduates share moments with faculty and staff who have done so much to make their Williams experience productive and rewarding. I therefore ask that we recognize all members of the Williams faculty and staff with our applause. Not a single graduate would be here today without the support and encouragement of many people, so I ask that we similarly recognize all of the students' parents, other family members, and friends who are with us today. 4 guests we are particularly pleased to welcome this weekend are the recipients of the Olmsted Prize for Excellence in Secondary School Teaching, honored yesterday at Ivy Exercises. And we are also delighted to have members of the Olmsted family here with us today. We ask our recipients to please stand and ask the audience to hold applause until all names are announced. Jeff Hess of Eugene, Oregon. Justin Maya of Washington, D.C. Giovanna Termini of New York, New York. And Chad Stauber-Soyek of Sheboygan, Wisconsin. Congratulations. Most prizes and fellowships awarded to members of the senior class were announced by Dean Sandstrom yesterday at Ivy Exercises. A list of the recipients, as well as a list of seniors receiving various categories of honors, can be found at the back of the commencement program. Please join me in congratulating all of them on their wonderful achievements. The William Bradford Turner Citizenship Prize was established in memory of Mr. Turner of the class of 1914, who was killed in action in France in 1916. The prize is awarded to that member of the graduating class whose service, leadership, and goodwill have inspired the gratitude and admiration of this community, and whose wholehearted embrace of the institution has helped us to see more clearly its highest purposes. This year's recipient has been a positive and creative force at Williams and beyond. A philosophy major, a beloved JA, a member of Kinetic and the Film Club. She served on the board of Storytime and led International Students Orientation. But beyond Williams, she has worked in local elementary schools, supporting classroom technology and teaching an after-school enrichment course. She also created videos for the BioEyes science education program and served on the board of Images Cinema, the independent movie theater on Spring Street. Along with these tangible accomplishments, she has demonstrated a marvelous ability to draw her peers into community projects. It is now my great pleasure of calling on stage this year's winner of the William Bradford Turner Citizenship Prize, Isabel Andrade. With the ending of this academic year, 13 members of the faculty will have reached the conclusion of their Williams careers. We will now honor those who are able to be with us today, and the full list is printed in your program. Henry W. Art. Maybe now you'll start finally acting your age. Since arriving here fresh from grad school, you have buzzed with energy. You helped develop our then new Center for Environmental Studies. You have chaired it, as you have the biology department and have directed the Bronfman Science Center and Hopkins Memorial Forest, whose permanent plots you have conducted a census of at 15-year intervals. You wrote for the journals Science and Natural Science and authored a series of popular books on wildflowers. You studied how species relate to each other and developed a curious, though you assured us scientific, interest in the sex lives of salamanders. Locally, you developed rich resources on the history of Williamstown and served for many years on its Conservation Commission. All of this you did before the invention of Red Bull. At the age of 50, you thought you might try a marathon, which you have now done more than 80 times. still competing in 3 or 4 per year, including Boston and New York, often in partnership with runners who are mobility impaired. Never one to slow down, you now embark on the natural experiment of determining what retirement looks like for someone who is forever 21. I hereby declare you Rosenberg Professor of Environmental Studies and Biology, Emeritus, entitled to all the rights, honors, and privileges appertaining thereto. Congratulations. Robert H. Bell. Your childhood hero, Ted Williams, has nothing on you. 19 seasons with the Red Sox, you have 46 at Williams. 2 MVP awards, you've won 3 national teaching honors, including Outstanding Baccalaureate College Professor of the Year. Most notably, you both, over long careers, strove to bring your A game every single day. An active and wide-ranging scholar, you relished the most complicated texts, Ulysses, Infinite Jest, books we suspect your hero never cracked. Your Fenway was the classroom where you reveled in the joy of literature and learning and of engaging bright young minds in them both. I was wired for verbal elation, you have said, which has been obvious to your students. It was an elation that spilled well outside the classroom as you ended almost every session with the same refrain: I'll be in my office, come see me, I love to hang out. And just as the kid naturally became a batting instructor, your legacy includes launching our Project for Effective Teaching, which, now under a new name, has helped so many faculty members, including this one, to get more comfortable in the box. Congratulations. I hereby declare you Frederick Latimer Wells Professor of English Emeritus, entitled to all the rights, honors, and privileges appertaining thereto. David P. DeChair. The quintessential outdoorsman. You have chosen a career and modes of recreation destined to keep you perpetually unroofed. This has included countless hours spent studying the critical zone on the Front Range of Colorado and sediment transport, glacial deposits, and groundwater in our own Hopkins Memorial Forest. You became expert in the effects of acid rain and global warming and in the production of renewable energy. The outdoors was not only your laboratory, but also your classroom, as you continually took students out in nature to see, touch, and smell for themselves. How painful it must have been for you to come indoors for meetings, of which there must have been many, especially as you chaired the Geoscience Department, the Science Executive Committee, and perhaps most notably, the project that produced the spectacular Class of 1966 Environmental Center. All of this work won you the Geological Society of America's prestigious Distinguished Career Award. Along the way, you have demonstrated remarkable generosity in your mentoring of honor students, volunteering to set down Nordic ski tracks, or making yourself available to everyone in town who faced a challenge on their property regarding water or soil. Ever the model scientist citizen. I hereby declare you Edward Brust Professor of Geology and Mineralogy Emeritus, entitled to all the rights, honors, and privileges appertaining thereto. Congratulations. David Eppel. New Englanders talk about people being from away. And boy, were you from away. In your native South Africa, you helped found the Market Theatre, the country's first fully non-racial theater, which brought Indigenous work to a wider audience at a time when doing so took courage. In the same way, you have devoted your time at Williams to bridging cultural and artistic differences. You produced cabarets with performers from the college and community. You helped shape the college's response to the AIDS crisis. You early on directed productions here of Angels in America. You launched a program that immersed our students in the culture and the evolving public policies of South Africa. You took students to theaters around the world, and you served as academic director of what was then called the Multicultural Center, now the Davis Center, with the goal of helping all of our students look at the world differently. Your emphasis has long been on what is called struggle theater, performances with the power to advance social and political causes. This made all the more glorious the day, unimaginable for most of your life, when you drove to the consulate in Boston to vote in the first truly democratic election of the country where your bridge building work began. I hereby declare you Professor of Theater Emeritus, entitled to all the rights, honors, and privileges appertaining thereto. Congratulations. Zirka Z. Filipczak. Art 101 is organized around 3 ideas. Art has formal qualities. The context in which art is produced and is seen matter, and all art builds on the art that came before. The same could be said in a way of art historians. Your lectures, scholarship, and curatorial work have been meticulously crafted in ways that, quietly but forcefully, dazzled audiences by showing how great art is intellectually as well as visually compelling. Who knew that Mona Lisa's mere hands conveyed so much social and cultural history? One context in which you have produced this work has been as the first woman in the department, a group of colleagues now wonderfully diverse, to whom you have provided generous support, as you have to the college as a whole and to the many alumni who have rushed to hear you lecture here in Williamstown and on study trips abroad. Your work has also come in the context of changing emphases in art history, including towards greater attention to female artists and to the role of gender in artistic expression, developments that you have contributed to. Then there are the art historians who preceded you, in particular the legendary members of your own department. Uncowed by these colossi, you took their practices and made them distinctly, effectively, even artfully your own. I hereby declare you J. Kirk T. Vanado, Class of '67, Professor of Art Emerita, entitled to all the rights, honors, and privileges appertaining thereto. Congratulations. Robert Jackal. As a sociologist of work, occupations, professions, and large organizations, you have explored some of the most important social questions of our time. How does bureaucracy shape moral consciousness? What constitutes ethical law enforcement? What is the nature of violence, and how best can democracies thwart it? Your book, Moral Mazes, The World of Corporate Managers, continues to be taught widely. You co-edited Main Trends of the Modern World, a 12-book series that brings together classical and contemporary analyses of the institutional foundations of modern society. You brought to campus a long line of speakers with deep and varied practical experience, of a kind rarely encountered on a college campus. All of this grew from your careful field studies, some of which in the area of police work courted danger. This focus on ethnography became the foundation of the curriculum for our anthropology and sociology department, of which you were the co-architect and whose theory and method courses you have so often taught. Through all of it, you have enabled countless students to engage in more critical ways the moral complexities of the professions and communities that they have moved on to from here to lead. I hereby declare you Wilmot Family 3rd Century Professor of Sociology and Public Affairs Emeritus, entitled to all the rights, honors, and privileges appertaining thereto. Congratulations. Lawrence J. Kaplan. Okay, it was Professor Kaplan in the laboratory with a CD-ROM. What you perpetrated turned out to be a marvel of education. The use of forensic science long before it became a staple of network television to lure non-majors into the study of chemistry. Students who otherwise wouldn't be caught dead in a lab signed up in droves. Who would not want to ponder questions such as, who killed John F. Kennedy? How did John Belushi die? And then there were the simulated crimes which students had to dash out of class to investigate. This crime wave then swept the country as you helped to establish the Center for Workshops in the Chemical Sciences, which, supported by millions of dollars from the National Science Foundation, offered free multimedia workshops to more than 1,000 faculty from more than 600 colleges, impacting more than 500,000 students. All of this while continuing your own scholarship on biochemical systems, including the structure of chromatin. At the same time, you served as a longtime advisor of our Jewish Association. Your house was a home away from home for generations of students, and you were instrumental in the development of our Jewish Religious Center. The research, the teaching, the commitment to this community, mitzvahs all the way around. I hereby declare you Halford R. Clark Professor of Natural Sciences Emeritus, entitled to all the rights, honors, and privileges appertaining thereto. Congratulations. Charles M. Lovett, Jr. No one, not even your chemistry colleagues, has taken more pleasure in blowing stuff up. But you will be remembered for what you put together. That includes our program in biochemistry and molecular biology, team-taught interdisciplinary courses on AIDS, globalism, and even what is life. And the renovation of the Thompson Science Buildings and addition of Morley Science Labs, that at the time was the largest capital project in the college's history. Come summer, you co-taught a science camp for local elementary school students and teachers and mentored dozens of students in your laboratory study of DNA repair. You served as the director of the Bronfman Science Center and chair of the Science Executive Committee for more consecutive years than one would think humanly possible. Have you never heard of the word sabbatical? Your other legacy, of course, is musical, as you frequently serenaded your class with voice and guitar, often after quizzes, particularly after hard quizzes, adding science-y lyrics to popular tunes and soliciting students' favorite songs as long as they were from the 60s, all of which made for a chemistry of a different kind. I hereby declare you Philip and Dorothy Shine Professor of Chemistry Emeritus, entitled to all the rights, honors, and privileges appertaining thereto. Congratulations. Lawrence E. Robb. Raised in Pittsfield, educated at Middlebury, for decades now rooted in Williamstown, you do seem to have an odd fetish for Route 7. From this meridian, however, you have cast your eyes across the world, seeing within its everyday details deep mystery. In free verse, always measured and sometimes humorous, you have explored the extraordinary in the ordinary, with what Billy Collins has called your rare knack for being perfectly clear and complex at the same time. Your work has earned wide publication, including in The New Yorker, The Atlantic, The Paris Review, in your own compilations, and in several editions of Best American Poetry. It has won prizes from the Academy of American Poets and the National Poetry Series. Your work in the classroom has been based, you have said, on legendary teacher Mark Hopkins' tenet that education is a system of excitement. Lucky are the many students who have come awake at your prodding to the thrill of discovering the power of detail in both life and craft. Your writing often asks how life would have differed with different choices, leaving us grateful that your own choice has left you, or has it brought you, close to home. I hereby declare you Harry C. Payne Professor of Poetry Emeritus, entitled to all the rights, honors, and privileges appertaining thereto. Congratulations. Since 1795, seniors have spoken from the commencement stage. Indeed, in early years, all seniors spoke. The present wise practice of limiting the student speakers to 3 members of the class began in 1901. One speaker is chosen by the class, one is selected by the Phi Beta Kappa Society, and the last speaker is our valedictorian. To begin, it is my pleasure to introduce our class speaker, Brian Benitez.
Hello, everyone. Before I begin, I would like to say that I, in conjunction with everybody wearing a red ribbon today, am in support of instituting Asian American Studies at Williams. It took me 4 years to miss the sea. Being from Florida, I took it for granted, and I even hated it for a while. But I've recently realized that one of my favorite things on this planet is the beach at night. This past week, my friends and I took a 2 a.m. stroll down to the beach at Hilton Head, where we were greeted by an incredible view. The sea was at low tide, and the coastline extended for miles. Only the specks of white at the wave's crests were visible. We ran down the sand dune and barreled into the sea. Well, everyone except me. I stood on the beach absolutely overcome with emotion. The dark abyss absorbed my field of vision. The onyx nothingness penetrated me. I felt small. I stood on the compacted sand, wind tussling my hair, salt licking my face, and all I could do was clutch my head and laugh. It was a desperate, nervous kind of laughter. And then I cried. Through my tears, I slowly walked to the sea's edge and I repeated a phrase over and over again. A march to the sea, a march to my death. A little morbid for Hilton Head, I know, but bear with me. March to the sea, a march to my death. I have no idea where that came from. Why on earth was I thinking about my death when I looked at the sea? Why was the sea, of all things, making me cry? I realized then that what I saw as death was not death as such, but this feeling of being outside myself. I lost my body. I wagered it to the sea when I walked up to her, and I lost it as she enveloped and consumed me. The sea's sublimity pushed me outside myself, and my being, my soul, dissolved into the salt water around me and became just as opaque. And this anxiety of not knowing where my body ended and where the world began overwhelmed me. To say it was terrifying would be an understatement. And yet I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that it was also a moment of ecstasy. The whole week I was saddled with the kind of subdued anxiety that comes right before massive and imminent life change. In a lot of ways, I was on the brink of a kind of death, of the end of an era. So to feel the water around me, to feel outside myself, bigger than myself, and for it to feel good was so incredibly comforting. By briefly forfeiting my body to the sea, I gained clarity. Today, we are all at the sea's edge. She calls us into her, and of course we're afraid. We're afraid of not being in control, of things going wrong, of losing the relationships that we spent 4 years making. We are on the precipice of the rest of our lives, and that naturally makes us feel pretty nervous. But if the sea's taught me anything, it's that leaning into that which overwhelms you can feel good because you feel part of something bigger than yourself. Such is the case with us, Williams alums that will go out into this world and change it for the better. So go, my friends. March to the sea, but not towards your death. March towards your life, and don't look back. Thank you.
Now it's a pleasure to welcome our Phi Beta Kappa speaker, Jackson Barber.
Before I get started with my speech, I, like Brian, would like to note that I, along with all of my peers wearing red ribbons today, stand in support of the 27-year fight for an Asian American Studies program at Williams College. Friends and classmates, we made it. It was never a sure thing, but we made it. The last 4 years may have left you weary and heartbroken. I'm certainly exhausted, but I guarantee you we are more resilient, more kind and wise for having gone through. And by God, we made it. There is a moment, I think, in every Williams student's time here when their world implodes. Sooner or later, this place sweeps away some of the bedrock upon which you built your identity, and your temple tumbles to the ground. We have to rebuild. Williams is a place of destruction and renewal, and none of us are immune. If you're not sure what I mean, then you're probably a frosh at first days. I want to share 3 lessons that I have gathered from my own personal implosions at Williams. 3 lessons on how to survive the apocalypse, be it a failed relationship, mental illness, paralyzing academic stress, all of which I have experienced here, or perhaps even a horde of bloodthirsty zombies, which thankfully I have not. This is my bootstrap guide to surviving the end of the world and how to rebuild. Survival tip number 1, be doggedly positive. Jesse Eisenberg would never have found love in Zombieland had he whiled away the hours moping about the collapse of civilization. We all understand our world and ourselves by telling stories. Find the storylines rooted in love of self and others, in auspicious beginnings and autonomy, and let these narratives drive you. Your life story can only have a happy ending if you believe you are worthy and capable of joy, so choose to believe doggedly. You have the power to make that choice. Survival tip number 2. You are as vast as the sky. Even if you're trapped in a concrete bunker for the nuclear winter, or, God forbid, trapped in your carrel working on that 10-pager, you are the heir to a vast emotional space. Your heart can hold a lot. It's okay to feel stressed, angry, and anguished, because feeling these emotions doesn't preclude you also feeling the good stuff. Joy, peace, and connection. Survival tip number 3, lean in. Whatever life throws at you, sit with it. It turns out we can hide from our troubles, social and emotional, about as well as we can hide from the undead. We can't. The sooner you sit with that which haunts you, the sooner you can recognize its limited bounds and overcome. We all hurt sometimes, but we must lean into that pain, for our emotions are ultimately one of the most powerful resources we have available. At its heart, this is a speech about vulnerability. Vulnerability is one of the hardest, most beautiful, and most powerful expressions of self, trust, and love. In the words of a dear friend, it's good to be a little squishy. This is my call to action to all of you and my parting word of advice. Try to be a little squishier. And watch out for zombies. Thank you.
As our final student speaker, we welcome the valedictorian of the class of 2018, Anna Deloy.
I would also like to take a moment to say that I, along with my peers wearing red ribbons, stand in support of the 27-year fight for an Asian American Studies program at Williams College. I have a confession to make. This is my first graduation, not just from college, but from any school. A couple of months ago, when we took our senior photos in Paresky, that was my first yearbook photo. And 4 years ago, when we were all stumbling into our first Psych 101 or philosophy freshman seminar classes, that was my first day of school. Some of you know this about me already, but I was homeschooled from kindergarten through 12th grade. I always thought of myself as the kind of kid who loved school, but what I thought of as school was pretty unusual. School was what happened whenever I wasn't doing something else. When I was 6, it was my mom reading me ancient Greek mythology, and my brother and I acting out the stories with Lego characters that we named Theseus and Ariadne. When I was 12, it was curling up with a stack of books from the library, Invisible Man alongside Harry Potter. When I was a teenager, school was largely studying classical music. School didn't have hours, and it didn't have grades. It was just finding the things I loved and pursuing them. Needless to say, when I got here, I had a lot to learn about educational institutions. I learned to drink coffee, and subsequently I learned how to stay up all night. I learned never to sign up for 8:30 classes, and I learned how to make it sound like I know what I'm talking about when I get called on and I haven't done the reading. I learned what squash is, and what it means to pregame. But the reason that I applied to Williams in the first place is I got this sense that this school was about more than classes and grades and stressed out students. And what strikes me most as I stand here today is that Williams has been school in the best sense of the word. I can't characterize what an education here is like because for each one of us, our time at Williams has been defined by who we are and by what we love. We've played varsity sports, we've played Shostakovich symphonies, we've tried new clubs and subjects, and we faced new challenges. We've braved organic chemistry labs, and we've been brave enough to critique our institution where it falls short. We've taken thousands of different courses between us in over 500 unique combinations. We've had friends and mentors that have changed who we are forever. Some of you have been those things to me. In a conversation the other day, one of my mentors here, who also happens to be an expert in schools and what they do, told me that she thinks the purpose of school is to help each student become more of who they are. That's something that these 4 years have done for many of us, and I'm grateful to have experienced it alongside you all. My fellow classmates, no matter where you go from here, keep looking for schools in the places and in the people around you. Find the things you love and pursue them with everything you have. And keep becoming more of the brave, intelligent, inspiring people you are. Thank you.
Thank you to all three of our speakers. It is our custom at this time to award honorary degrees to people of great accomplishment in many varied walks of life. We hold them up as deserving of honor and as examples for our graduates this day. Mona Hana Atisha. The daughter of Iraqi refugees, you trained in medicine and public health and set out to make the world a healthier place for children. When you began to hear of unexpected conditions affecting the children of Flint, Michigan, you were determined to find the cause. Denied access to data that would have most directly solved the mystery, you devised a way to sleuth through hospital records, which pointed to high levels of lead in the public drinking water. Knowing the harm being spread every day, you took the calculated risk of going public before your work could be peer-reviewed. You were immediately attacked and condescended to by a great many in authority. That is, until further study proved you right, and steps were finally taken to right the matter. Using your powers to thwart danger and protect countless children make you a Wonder Woman of science. At this point in the story, other superheroes might have gone home and put their feet up, but Wonder Woman persisted. Sensitive to the lifelong challenges these children face, you launched and continue to lead an initiative to provide ongoing monitoring and support. What an awesome adventure, one for which we breathlessly await the sequel. I hereby declare you recipient of the honorary degree Doctor of Science, entitled to all the rights, honors, and privileges appertaining thereto. Congratulations. John Winslow Irving. Apparently, no one ever told you that as a writer you could have literary stature or worldwide popularity, but not both. Nor could you win a National Book Award and an Oscar. You were supposed to pick. Somehow you have managed to break all of these strictures. Each of your works arrives on the bestseller list with its bags packed for a long stay. You have been translated into more than 30 languages. 5 of the novels have been made into films, including The Cider House Rules, for which you wrote the award-winning screenplay. You also rewrote the rule book of style, with prose full of realistic settings, tons of plot, and themes that resonate with the politics of the day. You read like Dickens, if Dickens had wrestled at Exeter. At the same time, you have invoked the fabulous, the uncanny, presaging the movement that melded realism and magic. You advanced the attention of fiction on characters who live on the margins of their worlds. You have made us laugh at what is sad and have helped us to see that family need not always mean what it used to. Genius, it is said, is knowing when to break the rules, and at that, you have been the master. I hereby declare you the recipient of the honorary degree Doctor of Letters, entitled to all the rights, honors, and privileges appertaining thereto. Congratulations. Janet Murguia. Part cheerleader, part visionary, part activist, you have since 2005 headed Unidos US, formerly known as the National Council of La Raza, the country's largest Hispanic civil rights and advocacy organization. Your 300 community-based affiliates have helped more than 1.5 million immigrants to apply for citizenship and have registered hundreds of thousands of voters. With passion and persistence, you have advanced your causes through frequent media appearances and in testimony before Congress. At a time when it seems almost impossible to do so, you have worked effectively across the aisle. And at a time when it is unpopular to do so, you have not been at all shy about calling out your allies publicly. Your work to remove barriers and expand opportunities has been inspired by the experience in your own family. Your parents arrived in this country with no money and little education, while you have been named one of Washingtonian Magazine's 100 Most Powerful Women in Washington. And the exhortation you have for your own community applies equally to our nation as a whole, that a bright future awaits us if we dare to claim it. I hereby declare you recipient of the honorary degree Doctor of Laws, entitled to all the rights, honors, and privileges appertaining thereto. Congratulations. Bob Schieffer. A guy who wears purple socks every day deserves an honorary degree. That, however, is not your only qualification. For more than 50 years, you have exemplified the very best of broadcast journalism. One of the few reporters to have covered the White House, the Pentagon, the State Department, and Congress, you have also interviewed every U.S. president since Richard Nixon. For almost 25 years, you moderated the public affairs program Face the Nation. You earned praise for your capable moderating of presidential debates. The College of Communication at your alma mater, TCU, is named in your honor. You have won seemingly every broadcast journalism award there is, including the Edward R. Murrow Award, and have been named a living legend by the Library of Congress. As important as the substance of your work has been, its style, cool, down-to-earth, probing but respectful, even-handed. You have advanced the public good by showing how important civility is to civic dialogue. And perhaps most fundamentally, you have been a model of integrity, both professional and personal, our appreciation of which has only grown greater with time. I hereby declare you recipient of the honorary degree Doctor of Laws, entitled to all the rights, honors, and privileges appertaining thereto. Congratulations. It is our custom to ask one of our honored guests to speak on behalf of the entire group of recipients of honorary degrees. And this year, we will have the great pleasure of hearing from Bob Schieffer.
You know, it is a very daunting assignment to speak for these other honorary degree recipients, because after all, they've done something. I just write down what other people do. So it's fun to be the one asked to speak. Distinguished guests, members of the faculty, proud parents and grandparents, surprised brothers and sisters who never thought these guys were good enough to get this done, and of course, to members of this graduating class of 2018, welcome and congratulations. I want to start this speech the way Helen Thomas, the great wire service reporter, the first reporter I met when I came to Washington way back there in 1969. I want to start it the way she might have started it. Helen and I covered the White House together when President Ford was president. And one day, the White House press secretary came in and said that Henry Kissinger, who was then the Secretary of State and also the president's national security advisor, was going to come in and give us a briefing. And the press secretary, who's kind of an unctuous kind of guy, said, now I have to stress, Dr. Kissinger has only 20 minutes. He doesn't have a minute more. We must get him in and out of here in 20 minutes. And Dr. Kissinger, of course, being ever the ham, said, well, you know, I am a college professor. I'm not sure if I can do it in 20 minutes. I normally do it in 40 minutes. Helen looked up and said, and just start at the end then. So I'm going to start at the end today. Class of 2018, this is your day. You worked for it, you earned it, and when you get that diploma, no one can now take it away from you. So again, my congratulations. Enjoy it. Graduation Day is a day that holds special meaning for every single person here, parents, faculty, students, even the graduation speaker. So may I say to the moms and dads today, this is your day too. And what a feeling it is to see your kids walk across that stage and get that diploma. I know exactly how you feel. I had two who did that, and when they got that diploma, the second one, you know how I felt? I felt like I'd gotten an enormous pay raise. May I also say to these graduates, until you sit where your parents are sitting today, you will never know how proud they are of you. So let's just stop and say thanks to the parents too today. And I'm going to tell you, parents, I'm not going to give you very much advice, but I do have a tip. Stay on good terms with these guys. They are the ones who will pick the nursing home. They are. I am so honored to be your speaker today, but I have a confession. A graduation speech, when you come right down to it, is the easiest speech there is to make, and I've made a couple. It's the easiest because no one in the history of the world has ever remembered what the graduation speaker said. And there's a reason for that. Graduation is not about what somebody says. It is about what you have done. So you're not going to remember very much about what I say here today, but you will always remember this day. All the way back to preschool, you have been students. For the past 4 years, you have been students at Williams College. But when you walk out of here, you will be a graduate of Williams College, and that has a pretty nice ring, doesn't it? It's also a little scary, but it is supposed to be. I know because long ago and far away at a place called Texas Christian University in Fort Worth, Texas, I sat where you sit. And I have another confession. I didn't graduate magna cum laude. For me, it was more thank you, Lordy. I was terrified that day, and with good reason. You see, when I was in school, I specialized in Spanish. I didn't major in Spanish. I specialized it. Basically, I took 9 semesters in order to get the 4 semesters I needed to graduate. The grades had been mailed but not posted the day of our graduation. So as I stood in line to receive my diploma, I didn't know if I was going to get the diploma, and they did this in those days, or whether I was going to be pulled out of line and told I did not make that C I needed to make in the final semester in order to graduate. So for me, graduation day was more of a religious experience. I realized that day there was a God. Kindly old Dr. Romaningi, maybe he was just tired of looking at me, he gave me the C that I needed to graduate. I know this was because he was a believer in mercy, not necessarily justice. But in Dr. Romaningi's honor, may I just say, gracias a Dios. Well, I guess I better get to the point of what I came here to talk about. Now that you have reached this milestone, what is next? I wish that I could tell you that but I can't tell you this, you are graduating into a dangerous world at a time when America, I think, is perhaps more divided than at any time since 1968, that awful year when we lost Martin Luther King, Bobby Kennedy, and the Chicago Democratic National Convention in Chicago broke out into what became a riot. There is no other way to put it. Those of us who were at that convention wondered if the country was literally coming apart over the war in Vietnam. And if there is any good news that I can report to you today about those days, it was that we did get past that awful time. The ideological divide that separates us today is further complicated by the fact that it is happening, and in part because of the revolution in communications technology that is having as profound an impact on our world as the invention of the printing press had on the world of that day. I'm talking about the coming of the web. We hail the invention of the printing press as a technological miracle that caused rapid change all across Europe. I'm talking about the Reformation, the Counter-Reformation. Martin Luther thought that once people could read the Bible in the local vernacular, that it would be sort of kumbaya, that the world would become closer. In the end, of course, the invention of the printing press was a great step forward. But shortly after its invention, people finally were able to read the Bible from themselves. They were not brought closer together. They began to see how different the different opinions of what was said was having. And what happened was, instead of just a peaceful time, there were 30 years of religious wars all across Europe. We, in our day, are at the very beginning of this technological revolution. The coming of the internet has given us access to more information than any people who have ever lived on the earth ever had. But are we wiser, or have we simply been overwhelmed by so much information we cannot process it? The short answer is overwhelmed. The internet has drained local newspapers, once our most reliable sources of local news, of the advertising revenue that was their life's blood. It has changed the whole way we now get the news. In their places, these newspapers, we've lost 126 in the last 12 years. There are so few newspapers now that one reporter in 3 now lives in either Washington, New York, or Los Angeles. That's how many newspapers have gone away. In their places, thousands of websites have sprung up, some reliable, some unreliable, some little more than propaganda sites engineered by those at home and abroad who are seeking to destroy America's most essential institutions, our government, our political system, and our free press. We can transmit information around the world and back in a matter of seconds. Mark Twain once said, "A lie can travel around the world while the truth is still putting its pants on." Never has that been truer than it is today. Who can blame those who say, "I don't know who or what to believe"? A recent letter to the editor of the New York Times was headlined, "Does the truth really matter anymore?" Well, of course it does. And we must never forget that the truth is the glue that holds our democracy together. It is as crucial to our system of government as the right to vote. I offer this word of warning. Be wary of those who try to destroy our free press. They are attacking the very foundations upon which our democracy rests. and we should never underestimate that. The confusion sown by our ability to make so much information available to so many has further weakened our already badly damaged electoral system, the way we go about choosing our political leaders. And those chickens came home to roost in 2016, when for the first time, our major parties, overwhelmed and already corrupted by the increasing demand to raise more and more money to run for office, nominated two candidates that a majority neither liked nor trusted. You know, when I was a little boy, my grandmother thought I was going to grow up to be President of the United States. You know why she thought that? Because that's what every grandmother thought about her grandson. But I ask you this, how long has it been since you heard somebody say, I hope my child grows up to be a politician? You are more likely to hear someone say, how can I get an appointment with Kim Jong-un's barber? I've just been looking for a place to use that line. Such is the disdain in which our political class is now held. We have made the process of getting elected to public office so odious that too many seriously qualified people no longer want to be a part of our political process. What we are left with are those who are willing to spend the countless hours begging people for massive amounts of money that it now takes to run for even the most insignificant office. So how did this come about? How did we come to this place, this juncture in history, when our best and brightest seem to want no part of not only public life, but even running for public office? I want to take you back just a little bit, back to when I had my first political consciousness, when I was first aware of politicians and politics. Year was 1948. Dewey was running against Truman, but down in Texas, where I was 12 years old, 11 years old, the big story was Lyndon Johnson, who was running for the United States Senate. And the reason it was such a big story in our neighborhood, where he was coming to make a speech on the vacant lot where we played baseball, the reason it was such a big story there was we heard he was coming in a helicopter, and we had never seen a helicopter. So my dad took me down, my mom went, the whole neighborhood came down, and all of a sudden, up in the sky, we heard this tremendous noise, and here was this airplane with no wings on it, and then over all this noise, over a bullhorn, this is your candidate for the United States Senate, Lyndon Johnson. At that moment, we understood how Moses felt when he realized the burning bush was talking directly to him. We didn't know if it was a politician, we didn't know if it was God, we didn't know what it was. But finally, this thing landed. There was a big cloud of dust, and the helicopter door opened. Lyndon Johnson walked out, waved to everybody, still wearing his Stetson hat, and he made a remarkable speech. Politicians really had to be good speakers in those days, or people wouldn't pay any attention and just wandered off, and most of it was about public rallies like that. So Johnson made this speech, and at the end of it, he reached up, took his hat off, threw it out into the crowd, waved goodbye, and flew off in that helicopter. You know, I can't remember the campaign commercials of 2016. I don't want to remember them. I mean, they had nothing to do with anything. All I wanted to do is just get them off of me once it was finally open. But I was 11 years old, and I can just remember almost every minute of that day. Later, I told the story of this to Jake Pickle, who was a congressman who took LBJ's place in the Congress when he went on to be elected to the Senate. And Pickle told me, he said, oh yeah, that was my job in the campaign. And I said, what do you mean your job? He said, I was a hat catcher. And I said, what? He said, let me tell you something. He said, Lyndon Johnson was the tightest man on the face of the earth. Who wasn't going to waste a hat on every campaign stop? So he said my job was to get there. I'd drive in my car. I'd get on the front row. Whenever he saw me, then he knew it was time to wind up the speech. He would throw the hat to me. I would run around behind the helicopter, give him the hat. He'd put it on, and then they'd fly on to the next assignment. I like to tell that story, not just because it's a good story, but because it is such a contrast and gives us such an understanding of the difference in the politics of that day and the politics of today. The people, every single person who had a role in getting Lyndon Johnson to that vacant lot where we played baseball in Fort Worth, did it for free. They had real jobs. Some of them worked at the bomber plant out on the west side. Some of them were members of labor unions. Some of them were bankers. They were just people who either liked politics or thought it was in their interest to become involved in politics. Today, we have outsourced all of the things that those people did for free to a group of consultants and gurus and commercial makers and I don't know what else. And as a result, the cottage industry that has grown up around our politics for that group of people has become more important than the election itself. They are making millions of dollars, and they're still making millions of dollars, and that is why that we have today these expensive campaigns that good people just don't want to feel many times the need to take part in that. The other part is the negativity of the campaigns of today. When you have consultants who don't live in the community making up these outrageous charges that are the stuff of today's politics, if you lived in the community and your candidate loses after you've made up all this stuff, you've got to go back and live in that community. But today, these consultants have exempted themselves from that, and they collect the money and simply move on to the next campaigns. There are many reforms in our system, some easy, some not so much, that we must now bring to our political system. Redistricting reforms, and most importantly, finding some way to put a hold on this money that our campaigns are now costing. And let me also say this. By 1975, in the wake of Watergate, 32 individuals had gone to prison or paid substantial fines for campaign law violations. Today, everything that they went to jail for is now legal. We are going backwards, not forward. But the first step to political reform is political courage, and that is where I think all of you come in. I urge each and every person leaving Williams College today to think seriously about running for office, and I'm serious. Whatever your party preference or your political affiliation is not important. What is important is values. What our systems need is an influx of smart, serious young people who understand the point of holding office is not to get reelected, but to improve the lives of those you represent. Think about it. Those brave people who founded our country were not worried about getting a primary opponent. They weren't worried about political survival. They faced challenges far greater than those faced by today's leaders, but they were not worried about any of that. They were worried about being hanged, and yet they pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honors to a cause greater than themselves, what became the United States of America. Do not underestimate the power that you possess. Think of those young people at that Florida high school who came together to protest gun violence. Some were not even old enough to vote. But what did they say? They said our schools should not become killing fields, but places to learn. And I want to tell you, we have not heard the last of them. I truly believe we will look on them one day as we look on the young freedom riders of the civil rights era. And let me step out of my objective reporter suit for just a moment and say, I stand with those kids. You know, you have spent a good part of this last 4 years thinking and learning about history. I hope that you will take that as a lifelong passion. And I remind you of what President Harry Truman once said, the only thing new in the world is the history we do not know. One of my heroes, Edward R. Murrow, once reminded us that we are not descended from fearful people. Every generation faces its challenges. No challenge comes without risk. You are here today because of the courage of generations who were some of the most courageous people in world history. You walked across this stage today because people who were not afraid to cross oceans to get here, because those who were not afraid to cross the great continent in covered wagons, not knowing what was on the other side of the mountains. You are descendants of the great generation that was not afraid to confront the Nazis, the greatest evil the world has ever known, because they knew if they did not, their children would live in a new dark age. And let us never forget another part. Some of you are here today not by your own choice, but because of those who imposed the greatest cruelty of man upon man in the history of the world. And yet, your descendants, because of their courage and because of their persistence and their determination to stay alive, became part of the strength of the United States of America. So thank you. The first thing I hope you can do to meet the challenges of this time is to restore our politics to the place it used to be, the place where honorable people can come together to work out the ways to improve the lives of all our citizens, the place where the best and brightest want to be. If you remember nothing else I have said today, remember this: you are fortunate because America is still a place where dreams can come true, and you must always work to keep it so. Treasure always those who encouraged you to follow your dream. They are your true friends, and forget those who tried to talk you out of your dream. They are not worth the worry. Remember as well to help those who have been less fortunate than you, and there is a great difference in helping them and advising them. I think of what Herman Melville once said, and it was this: of all the preposterous assumptions of humanity over humanity, nothing exceeds the criticism of the habits of the poor by the well-housed, the well-warmed, and the well-fed. Remember that. In this age of contradictions, where it is so hard to believe in anything, I urge you to believe in yourself, and the way you can do that is to remember how you feel today. It's not because you have a piece of paper that says you're a college graduate. It's because you set out to do something and you did it. It's because you enriched your intellect by learning things you didn't know, and because you enriched your life with the friendships that always come from a shared experience of a worthwhile and a difficult task. So do your best. Expect much of yourself, and remember always that true greatness comes not from the battles we win, but the battles we choose to fight. You'll soon forget what I said today, but you will never forget how you feel today. So may God bless you. The country needs you, and we are oh so very proud of each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Bob. It is now my great pleasure to ask Dean Sandstrom to present the candidates for degrees.
Mr. President, on behalf of the faculty, I have the honor to present the following candidates for the degree of Master of Arts in Art History. Megan Elizabeth Baker. Rachel Emily Burke. Elise Ying Chagas. Elizabeth Carol Fortune. Michael Wayne Hartman. Jonna Margot Henry. Lucas William Matheson. Michael Joseph Pratt. Eve M. Rosekind. Jessica S. Rosenthal. Rebecca Louise Singerman. Ewan James Wallace. Alyssa Waters. Rachel Ann Wilson.
By virtue of the authority vested in me, I confer upon you the degree of Master of Arts in Art History, entitled to all the rights, honors, and privileges appertaining thereto. Congratulations.
Mr. President, on behalf of the faculty, I have the honor to present the following fellows at the Center for Development Economics for the degree of Master of Arts in Policy Economics. Festus Biminimana, Burundi. Da Thi Nha, Vietnam. Abednego Kaur Majuk Deng, South Sudan. Du Huy Thiep, Vietnam. Risa Finley, Grenada. Balerma Ganku, Mongolia. Dan Limkani Gareta, Malawi. Doma Gocho, Mongolia. William Hardson, Tanzania. Chandika Krishantha Herat, Sri Lanka. Biza Alphonse Kaou, Côte d'Ivoire. Rose Kasande, Uganda. Dangalira Kausi, Malawi. Margaret Magumba, Uganda. Kerbino Akwe Manuel, South Sudan. Rifat Ahmed Mishuk, Bangladesh. Girland Mwaso Mensa, Malawi. Tinatin Mumladze, Georgia. Eve Mavunyi, Rwanda. Mwe Kwatse Sam, Uganda. Happiness Saidi Naumanga, Tanzania. Georges Nangoranwe, Burundi. Violette Joelle Rahariheri Nabinina, Madagascar. Nika Tin, Cambodia. Chun Thuy Ling, Vietnam. A. Mia Wei, Myanmar. Gobahor Yahioyeva, Uzbekistan. Maria Young, Cambodia.
By virtue of the authority vested in me, I confer upon you the degree of Master of Arts in Policy Economics, entitled to all the rights, honors, and privileges appertaining thereto. Congratulations.
Mr. President, on behalf of the faculty, I have the honor to present the following candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Arts. Louisa Ria Abel. Madeline Ann Abrahams. John Chuan Ju An. Stephen Tieno I. Tamar Sarah Eisenberg. Tassin Alam. Natasha Caitlin Albanese. Spencer Thomas Alpaugh. Sam Baudon Alterman. Mohibullah Amin in absentia. Seema Amin. Nathan S. Anderson. Ava Sophia Anderson. Lila Margaret Anderson. Alberta Joy Ananunu. Hannah Jane Antonellis. Roberto Andres Umplante Figueroa. Alejandro Arachiga. Prosper Atukwatsi. Amina Mohammed Awad. Yu Bai. Daisy Keenan Vanta. Jocelyn Del Carmen Barahona. Natasha Tatiana Barano. Henry Cleve Barker. Andrew Michael Berry. Kendall Conti Bazinet. Margot Janine Beck. Sarah Lisbeth Becker. Clara Severance Beery. John Joseph Byrne V. Isaac Benioff. Alexandra Elizabeth Bennett. Allison Curtis Barnett Berg. Jonathan Brewster Berg. Molly Xiaoqi Bernstein. Michael Jeffrey Berry. Noah Daniel Betts Richmond. Brian Gaughan Bissell. Merritt Suzanne Bjornland. Kent Blazer. Emmett Gabriel Blau. Andrew Joseph Blaniars. Carl Anders Otto Bacher. Stephanie Irian Bolger. Daniel Solomon Brandis. Jacob Zuckerman Brody. Pearson Joseph Brown. Michelle Blanca Buestan. Leah Nicole Burgess. Jasper Phillips Burgett, summa cum laude. Kieran Francis Burke. Michael Anthony Burns. Adam Arthur Caligaris. Lloyd William Campbell III. Julia Katerina Cancillo. Cody J. Tsao. Jordan Genevieve Carfino. Stephanie Laura Caridad. Christopher David Carley. Taylor Robert Carmola, in absentia. Gabriella Noemi Carmona. Michael Francis Cassidy. Andy Brian Castaneda. Stephanie Renee Seville. Erica K. Chang. Caroline Imani Charles. Jacques I. Chomeau. Frankie Chen. Gary Chen. Michael Lee Chen. Kar Yearn Chen. Justin Yungen Cho. Eugene Cho, in absentia. Alexa Brooke Champataz. Brittany Chung. Thomas Richard Sifrino, Jr. Bradley Robert Clark. Christina Megan Claroux. Jack Cloud. Brian R. Coakley. Griffin Alfred Colizzi. Ian Robert Concannon. Jabari Gerard Copeland. Michaela Christine Cordasco. Trevin Tejo Rain Corsilia. Alexander E. Cowan. Colby Rex Cretella. Elizabeth Fraser Cromack. Mateos Cruz Correa de Carvalho Souza. Catherine Augusta Cunningham. Naomi Karimji. Alexa Marie Kurt. Jacob Robert Citronbaum. Amelia Margaret Dana. Maris Lee Davidson. Michael LeBron Davis, Jr. Amar Madhukar Dayal. Benjamin Joseph Decker. Nicholas John Anthony Dean. Rebecca De La Cruz Gunderson. Kevin Brandan Deptula. Manami Alejandra Diaz Suzuki. Natalie Marie DeNeno. Michael Wallace Ding. Catherine Mary Dix. Daniel Christopher Doherty. Michelle M. Dom. Eliza Sharai Dotton. Madeline Elizabeth Downs. Margaret Claire Draper in absentia. Benjamin Frederick Drews. Christopher Lawrence De Silva. Zachary R. Dulaban. Adam Paul Dulski. Connor Dunn. Billy Easley. Ellis John Eaton. Tara Wilson Osaije Ihijator. Emily Joan Idy. Mason Banks Elizondo. Samuel E. Ellison. Madeline Constantina Elise. Alyssa Lauren Epstein in absentia. Nicholas Daly Erickson. William Webster Faribault. Saeed Hussein Ulfarid Bukhari. Catherine Farrington Feary. Kristen Emily Fetchtelcotter. John Everett Ferguson. Amani Selena Fernandez. Nicholas Desaline Fizame. Daniel Walden Fisher. Jeff Halligan Fisher. Shelby Stockman Fisher. Anthony H. Fitzgerald. John William Fives. Catherine Gable Flaherty. Sarah McLean Fleming, summa cum laude. Giannis Raphael Florakopoulos. Cole Marley Fleur. Devin Patrick Flynn. Claudia Elizabeth Forrester. Benjamin Ross Fox. Naomi Francois. Mariana Bailey Fry. Nicole Tori Friedman. Dorothy Pauline Gaby. Glenn Gallick. Jennifer Galvez Reyes. Christopher Finn Galvin, in absentia. They're here, in presentia. Ellery Day Galvin. Maria Isabella Gancaiko. Evan Marcella Gancedo. John Anthony Gannon IV. Mariana Garcia. Krista Galev. Patrick A. Gerald. Raquel Evelyn Gibson, in absentia. Tomar Golan. Julia Sarah Goldman. Aaron J. Goldstein. Diego Raul Gonzalez. Jillian Taylor Goodman. Hannah Henley Goodrick. Elizabeth French Goodkind. Patrick Matthew Gordon, in absentia. Rebecca Alexandra Gorlove. Sonia Gorenstein. Samuel Klaus Gowan. Lydia Abigail Graham. Madeline Palmer Grant. Benjamin David Green. Michael Ian Green. Jack Brent Greenberg. Michael William Greenman. Megan Ann Greiner. Danielle Alexa Greer. Brian Matthew Grodecki. Elizabeth Ann Gudis. Diego Roberto Guimaraes Blandon. Annika Elise Guy. Beatrix Haddock. Helene Natalia Hall. Heidi Prince Halverson. Nina Hampton. Maria Eileen Hansen. Anna Jean Harleen. Molly Jackson Harrington. Connor Michael Harris. Megan Abigail Hartney, in absentia. Ayami Ain Hatanaka. Christopher Michael Hattar. James Eddington Havren. Susanna Wilson Hawken. Robert Thomas Hefferon. Cameron Marlowe Helm. Daniela Hernandez. Kevin Miguel Hernandez. Luke Michael Higgins. Henry Netcher Hobbs. Caroline Mary Hogan. Stephen Joseph Hogan. John Brian Hood. David Brennan Horan. Isabella Hong. James Marcus Hughes. Gabriela Silva Ilangan. Mary S.A. Imevere. Benjamin John Insera. Hussein Ali Ireri. Raisha Halima Ishmael. David John Italiano. Sumin Siddhalakshmi Iyer. Jordan Michael Jace. Ethan Henry Jacobs, in absentia. Layla Jean Mary. Johnsuk Jung. Charles Clifford Jersey. Richard Minga Jin, summa cum laude. Jackson Douglas Johns. Eleanor Urban Johnston. Jordan Alexandria Jones. McKenna Marianne Jones. Milan Dixon Jones. Rachel Christina Jones. Hannah Marie Kaiser. Arjun Kakar. Juliet Kelso. Catherine Helene Kennedy. Taylor Simone Kennedy. Michael Isaiah Kidd Phillips. Alexander Ryan Kilman. Esther S. Kim. Jeremiah Yerem Kim. Juchan David Kim. Victoria Scott Kingham. Ezekiel James King Phillips. Daniel Gadali Kirsch. Molly Riley Knadler. Morris Saporis Skenazy Coleman. Juliana Cassandra Costas. Timothy Michael Kostolansky. Adam Samuel Kroot. Okan Kuchuk. Kiran Halima Kumar. Ryan Huadan Kwan in absentia. Sarah Ann Langdon Ladoucer. Crescencia Cavill Leno. Henry Wallace Lane. Lara Peters Lathrop. Edward LaChance Lauber. Charles Leroy. Yelizaveta Lavrova. Justin Elijah Leandre. John William Lee. Wilfred Packham Lee. Spencer Michael Lee Ray. Haley Catherine Lisinski. Charles Jacob Levin. Jonah Samuel Levy. Kit H. Lee in absentia. Lilia Lee. Stephanie Yan Lee. Wei Lee. Jonathan Christopher Lennon. Scott Jonathan Littman. Andrew N. Litvin. Sichao Liu. Stephanie Liu, summa cum laude. Elisama del Carmen Yera. Alexandra Maria Lovas. Tanner Matthew Love. Candy Liu. Zeke Liu. Calvin Gerald Ludwig. Peter Arthur Lucart. Wei Luo. Dahlia Karina Luque. Eleanor Heberton Lustig, summa cum laude. David Frederick Madding. Daniel Paul Mays. Maria Estela Magadenko. Ananya Mahalingam Dingra. Evelyn Barbara Mann. Cliff Masimba Makanda. Carlos Manuel Malacha Silva. Amelia Rose Malouf.
Yes, that's my call. Yes, Emmy.
Flor Marmolejo. Jacob Carl Maris. Dylan Lee Martin. Francis Lauren Martin. Ananji Martinez. Brenna Ruth Martinez. Katharina Leilani Martinez. Aliza Woolworth Matt. Phoebe Dale Matana. Abigail Liana Matthew. Alexi M. McAdams. Caroline Elizabeth McCardle. Grace Marie McCabe. Tobias Dean McCarthy in absentia. Julia McDonald Nieto Del Rio. James Beatty McFarland. Madeline Ann McFarland. Kaylee Paul McGonigal. Chase Tomas McHugh. Christopher Scott McLaughlin. Elijah Cole Meckler. Naomi Eliana Medina Yaudez. Jonathan Junglung Mang. Benjamin Simon Metrikin. Natalia Brittany Miller. Robert Beck Connolly Miller. James Wyatt Millstone. James Peter Mioto. Natalia Sophia Miranda. Sonia Alexandra Mittal. Anika Akili Emma Mitchell. Ulysses Adrian Molina Vega. Ian Campbell Mook. Gregory John Mora. Matthew Raymond Morris. Stephen Joseph Morrissey, Jr. Daniel Walter Mueller. Tobias David Mullers. Eric William Muskoski. Ivy Moembi Mwanengi. Timothy Paul Nagel McNaughton. Daniel Charles Needham. Anna Catherine Neufeld, summa cum laude. Connor Harmon Newton. Daishiro Nishida. Taluna Nosito. Matthew Desmond O'Connor. Joseph Youngman O. Cynthia Ungazi Okoye. Emily Grace Elkind, Orchant. Rachel Leah Oren. Isabel Marie Ostertag. Keith Muthuna Owiti. Valerie Isamemen Oyakilome. Jack Ming Page. Jensen Junho Pack. Francesca Paris. Tung Ki Park. Sam OK Park. Haley Lauren Parsons. Christine Madeline Pash. Luke James Passanante. Ashe Naren Patel. Chetan Ashvin Patel. Soham Patnaik. Catherine Ann Pattison. Ryan Joseph Patton. Brian Norman Peterson. Andrew Francis Peisch. Liam Gunning Pembroke. Nicole Ashley Perez. Seth Mitchell Perlman. Nathaniel McEwen Perry. Elowyn Alice Pfeiffer. Kurt Michael Frommer. Gregory Johnston Plum. Olivia Lee Polk. Anna Verduin Pomper. Joshua Mordecai Popkin. Nicholas Blake Post, summa cum laude. Riwaz Pudial. Catherine McCall Priest. Cassandra Gray Astor Pruitt, summa cum laude. Lucy Elizabeth Putnam. Grant Doyle Raffle. Sachin Raghavan. Timothy William Randolph. Julie Helena Raventos. Apshara Ravichandran. Ariel Rain Rawlings.
Thank you so much.
Paul Arthur Eric Redelmeyer. Morris James Reeves. Adam John Regensburg. Samuel Wesley Reinert. Brianna Elizabeth Reddig. Claudia Reyes. Mairead Angelica Reynolds. Thomas Hunter Riley. Jennifer Mary Roach. Sophia Renee Robert. John Aloysius Roberts IV. Andrew James Robertson. Emma Lydia Robinson. Andrea Lorena Rodas Cabrera. John Rodriguez. Norma Valeria Rodriguez. Rebecca Rodriguez, in absentia. Ryan Jovan Rolls. Thomas Mayer Rosal. Krista Maria Spasova Ruseva. Robert Bradford Roledge. Alexia Renee Royal Eatman, in absentia. Carl Lindholm Rustad. Carolyn Grace Ryan. Elizabeth Lewis Saxa. Jordan Scott Sadowski. Jean Elizabeth Salisbury. Miguel Alejandro Samayoa, in absentia. Divya Lakshmi Sampat. Catherine Corey Sands. Carl Vincent Sangri. Justin Patrick Sardo. Emily Winter Saunier. Aisha Monet Savage. Jake Thomas Savoca. Emma Elizabeth Sawkins. James Reed Sawyers. John Gillis Scaletta. Kieran Timothy Scannell. Alexandra Jenna Scarangella. Andrew Lewis Scharf. Lev I. Schechter. Robert Max Schneiderman. Jack Deary Schrupp. John William Schallis. Alex Paul Semendinger. Miriam Samar, in absentia. Noemi Marisa Sepulveda. Marissa Levin Shapiro. Desmond Omar Yesser Schwerby. Margaret Stediford Schilling. CJ Shugart. Danielle Jayoun Sim. Justin Lee Sim. Jacqueline Barbara Santa Inez Simeone. Allegra Jordan Goodman Simon. Liam Simpson. Isha Singh. Malcolm Herbert Arnold Emze Singleton. Priya Martina Sivalingam. Justin Mackenzie Smilin. Delaney Mariko Smith. Rebecca Carolyn Smith. Skylar Wakely Smith. Sophia Alexandra Smith. Mackenzie Stone Snyder. Anna Virginia Solares. Abigail Jean Soloway. Leah Alexandra Sorkin. Morgan Gabrielle Spellman. Katie Ann Spence. Peyton Lee Spencer. Jacob Ellis Sperber. Laura Brianna Steele. Sarah Elias Stone. Emily Margaret Stump. Jung Min Saw. Elizabeth Caroline Sullivan. James Walsh Sullivan. Angela Sun. Tiffany Uinja Sun. Emily Nola Sunquist, summa cum laude. Connor Jason Swan. Samuel Paul Swire. Gregory Kotliar Zummel. Marcus Ben Talbot. Christine Tamir. Catherine Hui Ming Tan. Sarah Mei Ming Tan. Nicole Kimberly Tana. Haley Eve Tartell. Michael Tara Passionitz in absentia. Cole David Teal. James Richmond Temple in absentia. Spencer Walker Thomas. Karan Tibrewal. Isabella Michelle Tillman. Mark Eugene Tolomeo Cisco. John Walter Toomey. Darla Maria Torres. Min Tuan Chen. Laura Varela. David Joseph Vascones. Rehan Vidge. Miranda Villanueva. Alonso Gustavo Jasmil Okendo. Austin Huang Nam Vo. Fung Uin Huan Ba. Emma Mary Waddell. Madeline Christian Walsh, summa cum laude. Bingyi Wan. Joyce Wang. Mia Christine Renmei Wang. Sean Wang. Wilson Xingsheng Wang. Christopher David Washington. Johanna Subiza Wasserman. David Robert Weathers. Hannah Nicole Weaver Weinstein. Amelia Welch. Robert Joseph Welch. Kiana Ruby West. Jenny Wheeler. Margaret Kennedy Whitney. Benjamin David Williams, summa cum laude, in absentia. Colin Andrew Williams. Samuel Wilson. Allison Rebecca Wong. Hallie Erica Wong. Patricia Caillou Wong. Kirk Warren Wu. Zachary Royce Wood. Stella Louise Warders. Noah Alexander Wright. Carol Wu. Dawn Yang Wu. Jamie Wu. Sophie Elsa Wunderlich. Caroline Graves Wyatt. Yinga Tre Shah, summa cum laude. Julia Lynn Yerrick. Zihan Yi. Nadia Ye. Sung Huang Angela Yo. Michael Yi, in absentia. Benjamin Lyman Young. Thomas Monroe Young. Lydia Collins Zaleski. Peter Jung. Yihan Zhang. Fan Yuan Zhao. Wei Tao Zhu. Michael Zuo. Brian Ezequiel Benitez, class speaker and marshal of the class. Jackson David Barber, Phi Beta Kappa speaker. Anna Lucia Deloy, summa cum laude, valedictorian. Isabel Andrade, marshal of the class. Kathy B., marshal of the class. And Jahangir Imran Habib, marshal of the class. Will all members of the senior class please stand for the conferring of the degree?
By virtue of the authority vested in me, I confer upon you the degree of Bachelor of Arts, entitled to all the rights, honors, and privileges appertaining thereto. Congratulations, class of 2018. You can be seated. Let me now call upon Jordan Hampton, President of the Society of Alumni, to welcome our new recipients of degrees.
Yes, what a glorious day. Congratulations. My name is Jordan Hampton, and I'm from the class of 1987. 31 years ago, I was sitting where you are. Well, not quite. We were in the science quad, but same difference. Today, I'm here because I have the honor of serving as the president of your Society of Alumni. By receiving your diploma a few minutes ago, you've been transformed from an undergrad into an alumnus. On behalf of more than 28,000 members of the Society of Alumni, welcome. You now join a unique family with a long and venerable history, a history of tremendous commitment to our alma mater. Our society was formed by a small group of dedicated Williams graduates in 1821 to save and sustain the college in the face of the defection of a group of faculty and students to another institution down the road. Today, the Society is, just as it was nearly 200 years ago, a critical link to the college's past and a foundation for its future. The tradition of alumni support of the college is the envy of many institutions around the country and is something in which many of us take great pride. But what I take pride in even more is how we support and look out for each other. The Society of Alumni, while being a steward of traditions, is also a steward of relationships. The one you have with this place, the ones you formed during your 4 years on campus, and the ones that await you with EIFs of all ages across the country and around the world. As alumni of Williams College, you will always be known and cared for by those of us who have gone before you and who share this special relationship with a small liberal arts college in the northwest corner of Massachusetts. Yesterday at Baccalaureate, your classmates Tamar and Aaron spoke about feeling like strangers and the Torah's instructions to love the stranger. In the alumni world, as author Roald Dahl says, there are no strangers here, just friends you haven't met. I encourage you to stay involved with Williams and find those friends, both old and new. Attend events or volunteer in your new regional association, in an affinity group, as a class officer, or as an agent. Come talk with undergrads about your journey on your career path, which, although you're just starting out now, promises to be an intriguing story full of twists and turns. No one ever has it all figured out, so please don't make that your goal. As Jackson said, stay squishy. Williams will always be your home. Please come back home and visit. Come as you are, in your dirty car and with whatever baggage you have. Don't worry about where you are in your life and what you've done. Come back with all the mixed emotions you might have, returning to any of the places you have called home. You will find that while the world will change in many ways, what will not change is the fundamental belief we all share in the value of receiving an excellent education in a small place where people care about one another and develop a strange fondness for cows and the color purple. We are all connected to each other, and we all care about you. Don't hesitate to reach out to any of us to ask for help, to request information, or just to say hi. We will keep in touch and look for you out there in the real world. We have your back. Class of 2018, welcome to the Society of Alumni.
Thank you, Jordan. With these ceremonies now drawing to a close, and in bidding you all farewell, I would remind the audience to remain standing until the academic procession has moved out of the area, and ask the new graduates to remain in line until they have reached the Route 2 sidewalk. As is our custom, we will now sing 2 verses of the Mountains, after which the chaplain to the college will offer a benediction. And you will find the words to the Mountains, accompanied by our own Williams Commencement Ensemble, in the program book.
Kim Jong-un's barber, that's a commencement line I'll never forget. In fact, maybe I should visit him and he could fix what little I have. In the somewhat fragmented unfolding of this millennium, there persists the voice of anxious advocate heralds whose oft-limited cries now beseech the open spaces of your century with newborn desperation. Their plaintive traveler's refrain is meant to stir among the nations a community of friends, ready to dive and rise and dive and rise again, refreshed, revivified, renewed, and reawakened, ready to reach at hand what has long been offered by the relentless hopes of humanity and the courageous spirit such hope awakens. In the unfolding of this still new millennium, there is a promise not soon forgotten by the young that resonates like sentinel stars over purple mountain grandeur, that remains like cherished photographs used to represent and remember graduations, that serves to cauterize disappointment and crystallize determination, that through, with, and in you, will all women and men move forward with grace and peace and wonder. In the unfolding of this, your millennium, you are the answer to the timeless questions that yet weigh heavy on more aged hearts. So you must speak clearly and without hesitation, soothing words that can bring together all tribes, families, and clans into a body strong and brave, passionate and grand, one that acts with certain purpose and transparency of vision. The unfolding of your millennium and the toll of the bell awaits you. So go from here, not simply with God, but as the very presence of that mystery, and be, if only just for one person, the other that has been longed for, a vital and visceral expression of being fully human. Make love real in the concrete conditions and circumstances of your lives. Let others know that they are wanted, that their lives matter, and that they too belong. The unfolding of your millennium waits to encounter you, so go from this place of physical beauty and intellectual acumen, always expressing the blessings you have received and being forever the blessing that you are. Amen.
Mr. Sheriff, pray, bring these ceremonies to a close.
The 229th commencement here at Williams College is hereby terminated. God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Thank you.